I'd be happy to create a new HFY, Humanity Fuck Yeah story for you with entirely original characters. Let me start by providing you with an outline of both parts before diving into the full story. Story Outline Part 1: The Silent Guardian. Introduction to Halara. A peaceful alien world under attack by mysterious invaders. The Galactic Council's dismissal of Halara's distress signals. Introduction of Captain Elise Reeves and the Earth vessel, Vigilant, Earth's covert monitoring, and decision to intervene. First contact between humans and Halarans. Initial battle preparations against the invaders. Part 2: Orbital Judgment. The full-scale attack by the invaders, revealed as the Vex Collective. Earth's fleet arrives with advanced technology. The space battle between human forces and the Vex. The revelation of the Galactic Council's secret dealings with the Vex orbital bombardment of the Vex forces. Aftermath, and the new standing of humanity. In the galaxy now, let's begin with the full story. Part 1: The Silent Guardian. The crystalline spires of Halara glittered under the light of twin suns, their once perfect symmetry now marred by smoke and ruin. 3 consecutive days of bombardment had left the peaceful agricultural world in tatters. The Halarans, tall, slender beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions, huddled in underground shelters, their normally vibrant hues faded to dull grays and browns of fear and despair. First Minister Talene stood before the emergency communications array, her long fingers trembling as she recorded what might be her final message to the Galactic Council. "This is the 7th distress call from Halara," she began, her voice steady despite the explosions that shook dust from the ceiling. "Our defenses have fallen. The invaders have established bases in our northern continent. They're systematically harvesting our resources and—" She paused, swallowing hard. "Our people. We beg for immediate intervention. Please. The Halaran civilization stands on the brink of extinction." She ended the transmission and turned to her advisors, their anxious faces illuminated by the blinking lights of failing equipment. "Will they respond this time?" asked Defense Minister Valon, his skin shifting between worried purple and desperate blue. Talene's shoulders slumped. "I don't know. 6 messages sent, 6 messages acknowledged, but dismissed. The Council claims we exaggerate the threat." Far across the galaxy, in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, 17 representatives of the most advanced civilizations gathered around a holographic display of Halara's message, the chair being a gaseous entity contained within an ornate hovering vessel, pulsed with dismissive amber light. Another dramatic plea from the agricultural world, it said, tendrils of vapor curling in amusement. They've always been prone to overstatement. A reptilian counselor flicked his tongue in agreement. Their primitive sensors probably detected a mining operation and interpreted it as an invasion. Or perhaps a natural disaster they don't understand, added a counselor resembling a massive mollusk. Their technology is barely past interplanetary travel. The Arcturian delegate, a being of pure energy, sparked with mild concern. "Should we not send at least a monitoring team? The treaty obligates us to investigate credible threats to member worlds." The key word being credible, countered the chair being. "We've monitored their communications. These invaders they speak of don't match any known species signatures. Most likely internal strife they're too embarrassed to admit." The Council voted 15-2 against intervention, and Halara's plea was officially classified as low priority, monitor only, for the 7th time. What the Council didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that their supposedly private deliberations were being observed by eyes they had never detected. Captain Elise Reeves stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel, Vigilant, her expression grim as she watched the Council's dismissal play out on the main screen. Though only in her 40s, the silver streaks in her dark hair and the lines around her eyes spoke of decades of hard decisions and harder battles. "Those pompous bags of gas," muttered Commander Jackson, her second in command. "They're going to let an entire civilization die because intervention isn't politically convenient. They've also underestimated the threat," said Reeves, her voice calm but edged with steel. "Our deep space probes identified the attack pattern. It's consistent with the entities we encountered in the Proxima Centauri incident. The Proxima. Harvesters? Jackson's face paled. But we barely survived that encounter. And we've spent the 10 years since preparing for their return. Reeves tapped a command into her neural interface, bringing up a tactical display. Humanity might be the newcomers in this galaxy, hiding our true capabilities, but we've never forgotten our first contact with those things. Lieutenant Commander Wei, the communications officer, looked up from her station. Captain, General, Command has responded to our report. We have authorization to proceed with Operation Guardian Shield. Reeves nodded, unsurprised. Earth had maintained its appearance as a minor, recently spacefaring civilization for nearly 3 decades, trading just enough to seem eager but unimportant, revealing just enough technology to appear modestly advanced, but non-threatening. All the while they had built their real fleet in secret, hidden shipyards outside the monitoring range of the Galactic Council's sensors. Signal the battle group, ordered Reeves. Tell them to prepare for Phase 1 deployment. We move in 6 hours. On Halara, the attacks intensified. The invaders, massive chitinous creatures with too many limbs and glowing sensory organs, had established 3 processing centers where they systematically extracted minerals from the ground and biological material from any unfortunate Halorans they captured. Talene and her remaining military forces had retreated to the planetary capital's last defensive position when their sensors detected a new ship entering the atmosphere. Expecting another invader vessel, they were surprised when the craft transmitted on their communication frequency. Halaran government, this is Captain Elise Reeves of the Earth vessel Vigilant. We've received your distress calls and are here. To render assistance, please respond. Talene stared at the communications officer in disbelief. Earth? That minor world from the spiral arm? How could they have received our deep space transmissions? Unknown, First Minister, but their ship's energy signature is unlike anything in our database. It's sophisticated. Talene hesitated only briefly. Open a channel. What choice do we have? The communication screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in a dark uniform adorned with subtle insignia. Her expression was confident, determined, a stark contrast to the council representative's dismissive condescension. This is First Minister Talene of Halara. We welcome your assistance, Captain Reeves, though I must express surprise. Earth is not a council member. No, Reeves replied with a slight smile. We're not, and perhaps that's why we're actually responding to your call for help. We have a saying on Earth. All that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Within hours, the Vigilant had landed near the capital, and Earth troops deployed with startling efficiency. They wore powered armor that made them twice their natural size, bristling with weapons that the Halorans had never seen before. Reeves met with Talene in what remained of the government compound, spreading out holographic maps of the planet's surface. These invaders are what we call harvesters, Reeves explained. We encountered them 5 years ago in our home system. They strip planets of resources, biological and mineral, and move on. They're not interested in conquest or conversation. How? Did you defeat them? Asked Valon, hope finally returning to his voice. We didn't. Not completely, Reeves admitted. We drove them off, but at great cost. Since then, we've been preparing, developing weapons and strategies specifically to counter their technology. But why help us? Talene's skin rippled with confusion. The Council considers Earth a minor power. You have no obligation under galactic treaties. Reeves's expression hardened. The Council doesn't know us as well as they think they do. Humanity has kept its true capabilities hidden for reasons that will soon become apparent. As for why we're helping, she paused, looking directly at Talene. Because it's the right thing to do. Because we were once where you are now, facing extinction with no one to turn to. As night fell on Halara, Earth dropships continued to arrive, deploying troops, equipment, and defensive installations around the capital. Engineers set up energy shields, medics treated wounded Halorans, and combat teams established perimeter defenses. In orbit, the Vigilant was joined by 3 more Earth vessels that seemingly appeared from nowhere, their stealth systems deactivating only when they reached Haloran space. On the bridge of the Vigilant, Reeves received the report she had been waiting for. Captain, the Harvester mothership has altered course. They've detected our presence and are concentrating their forces for a major assault. Estimated time to engagement, 8 hours. Reeves nodded grimly. Then we have 8 hours to prepare our surprise. Alert all ships to begin deployment of the Odin platforms. And send a message to Earth Command. It's time for Phase 2. As Halara's twin suns set, casting long shadows across the devastated landscape, the human forces and their Halaran allies prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of the planet. What the invaders didn't know, what even the Halarans didn't fully comprehend. Orbital judgment dawn broke over Halara's eastern continent, the first rays of the twin suns illuminating a changed battlefield. Throughout the night, Earth's forces had transformed the capital city and surrounding areas into a fortified stronghold. Automated defense turrets tracked the skies, energy shields hummed with barely contained power, and heavily armored human soldiers moved with practiced precision alongside their Halaran allies. From her command center, Captain Reeves monitored the deployment of Earth's most closely guarded secret, the Odin platforms. 12 satellite-sized devices had taken position in geosynchronous orbit, their surfaces covered in what appeared to be intricate geometric patterns, but were actually phased array emitters of unprecedented power. Odin network at 87% alignment, reported Commander Jackson. Estimated full operational capability in 20 minutes. Reeves nodded, her attention divided between the orbital preparations and the ground forces status. And our visitors? The Harvester mothership has entered the outer atmosphere with approximately 200 smaller craft. They're forming attack formations consistent with their previous assault patterns. On the tactical display, the invaders' ships appeared as a swarm of red indicators converging from multiple directions. Their strategy was clear: overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers and ferocity. First Minister Talene stood beside Reeves, her skin fluctuating between anxious yellow and determined green. Your forces seem insufficient against such numbers, Captain, even with your advanced technology. Reeves allowed herself a small smile. Numbers aren't everything, Minister. Quality can overcome quantity and surprise. She tapped the display, showing the Odin platforms. Surprise can overcome both. The first wave of Harvester craft descended through Halara's cloud layer, their chitinous hulls gleaming dully in the morning light. They were brutal in design, all sharp angles and protruding weapon nodes, built for efficiency rather than aesthetics. As they approached the defensive perimeter, they opened fire with energy weapons that scorched the ground and vaporized anything they touched. Earth's defense turrets responded immediately, filling the sky with precisely targeted energy pulses. Where the Halaran weapons had barely scratched the invaders' hulls, the human technology tore through them with shocking effectiveness. "They've adapted their shields," called out a tactical officer as the second wave adjusted their approach, reading energy fluctuations consistent with modulation attempts. Reeves had expected this. "Implement countermeasure Suite Theta. Don't let them establish a pattern." The battle intensified as Harvester ground forces began to deploy, 8-limbed, creatures twice the height of a human, with exoskeletons that could repel conventional weapons and mandibles capable of shearing through metal. They moved with unnerving coordination, clearly guided by some hive intelligence. On the front lines, Earth's combat teams engaged the creatures with weapons specifically designed to penetrate their armor, vibration blades that resonated at the exact frequency to disrupt their molecular structure, and plasma rifles tuned to the vulnerabilities discovered during the Proxima incident. Above the battlefield, Lieutenant Commander Wei's voice cut through the tactical chatter. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council." Reeves raised an eyebrow. "Put it through, but maintain operational security protocols." The holographic display flickered, revealing the chair being's vaporous form. "Earth Vessel Vigilant. This is the Galactic Council. You are engaging in unauthorized military action in Council-protected space. Cease operations immediately and withdraw your forces." "With respect, Chair Being," Reeves replied coldly. "Where was the Council when Halara sent 7 distress calls? Where was your protection when the harvesters began decimating this planet? The situation was under assessment, the chair being countered, its vapor darkening with irritation. And these harvesters, as you call them, are unknown entities that require diplomatic— They're not unknown to us, interrupted Reeves. We fought them 5 years ago when they attacked our colonies. While you were assessing, people were dying. Before the chair being could respond, Commander Jackson cut in urgently. Captain, we're detecting a new transmission from the Harvester mothership to the Council chambers. Reeves's eyes narrowed. Intercept and decode. Priority 1. Moments later, Jackson's face paled as he read the decryption results. Captain, the transmission contains recognition codes, Council diplomatic protocols. They know each other. Reeves turned her gaze back to the chair being, whose vaporous form had stilled unnaturally. Care to explain, chair being? How do these unknown entities possess your diplomatic codes? The silence stretched for several seconds before the chair being responded, its tone now carefully measured. Captain Reeves, there are complex political realities at work here that you cannot possibly comprehend. The Council has arrangements with various resource acquisition entities. Certain worlds deemed developmentally stagnant are occasionally repurposed for the greater good of galactic stability. The implication hung in the air like a physical presence. Taleen's skin blanched to pure white, the haloran color of absolute horror. You sanctioned this? You allowed these creatures to harvest our world, our people? Unfortunate but necessary sacrifices, the chair being replied dismissively. The resources of Halara will support dozens of more advanced civilizations. It is simply efficient allocation. Reeves's face had gone perfectly still, a calmness more terrifying than any display of rage. Command, this is Captain Reeves. Implement Odin Protocol. Authorization Reeves Alpha 7 Omega. Odin Protocol confirmed, replied the ship's AI. Target acquisition in progress. The chair being's form pulsed with what might have been concern. What are you doing, Captain? Whatever weapon system you're activating, be aware that aggressive action against Council interests will what? Reeves cut in. Will force you to acknowledge that humanity isn't the primitive newcomer you thought, that we've been watching, learning, and preparing while you dismissed us as unimportant. In orbit, the 12 Odin platforms aligned perfectly, the geometric patterns on their surfaces glowing with increasing intensity. Energy began to arc between them, forming a web of power around the planet. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your harvester allies, Reeves informed the chair being. After that, we will remove them ourselves. You cannot possibly possess the firepower to— Odin platforms aligned, interrupted Jackson. System at or full power. Reeves nodded once. Fire. From each platform, a beam of concentrated energy lanced downward, converging on the harvester mothership. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the massive vessel's shields flickered and failed. The beams adjusted, carving through the chitinous hull with surgical precision, targeting propulsion, weapons, and command nodes, while deliberately avoiding areas with high life-form concentrations. On the ground, the effect was even more dramatic. Every harvester suddenly froze in place, their coordinated movements dissolving into chaotic, unguided flailing. Without the mothership's controlling intelligence, they were reduced to instinctive reactions. What have you done? Demanded the chair being. Targeted electromagnetic pulse combined with quantum-locked energy dispersion, Reeves explained, calmly. We disabled their technology without destroying all their ships. The survivors will carry a message back to their collective. The remaining harvester craft, now operating on backup systems, began a disorganized retreat, abandoning their ground forces and fleeing Halaran atmosphere. You've violated countless council protocols, the chair being sputtered. Earth will face severe sanctions for this unauthorized— I don't think so, Reeves interrupted, her voice now edged with steel. You see, while we were disabling the harvesters, we were also transmitting this entire conversation, including your admission of sacrificing Halara, to every member world of the Galactic Council. The chair being's vaporous form contracted in, "Jacques, you wouldn't dare." "We already have," confirmed Wei from her communication station. "Transmission complete. We're receiving acknowledgments from 37 council worlds." Reeves leaned forward, her expression unyielding. "Humanity has remained hidden in plain sight, chair being, because we suspected corruption within the council. Now we have proof. Consider this a formal announcement. Earth will no longer play the role of the humble newcomer. We will protect those you've deemed expendable, and we will hold accountable those who abuse their power." The transmission from the council abruptly terminated. In the aftermath, as Earth's medical teams helped the injured Halorans and engineering crews began rebuilding critical infrastructure, Talene approached Reeves at the edge of the command center. "Your people saved ours at great risk," she said, her skin now shimmering with grateful blue. "You've revealed your true capabilities and challenged the council, all for a world you barely knew existed before our distress calls." Reeves looked out over the horizon, where the first signs of reconstruction were already visible. "We were like you once, alone, vulnerable, facing threats we couldn't comprehend. We vowed never to let another species face extinction if we could prevent it." "What happens now?" asked Talene. "The council will not forgive this humiliation." "Now?" Reeves smiled slightly. "Now humanity steps out of the shadows. We'll establish formal alliances with Halara and any other worlds that wish for protection outside the council's selective assistance." She gestured toward the sky where Earth's fleet had fully decloaked. Not just the 4 ships that had engaged in battle, but 37 vessels of various sizes, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. A fleet that had been hiding in plain sight for years, waiting for the moment when humanity would reveal its true nature to the galaxy. "They mocked your plea for help," Reeves said quietly. "They thought they could sacrifice your world for their convenience, but they've learned an important lesson today. Humanity stands with those who cannot stand alone, and when diplomacy fails, we answer with fire from the stars." As night fell once more on Halara, its people looked to the sky with hope instead of fear. The invaders were gone, the council's betrayal exposed, and a new alliance born from the ashes of near extinction. And throughout the galaxy, on worlds both powerful and vulnerable, the same question echoed in government chambers and public forums alike. Who are these humans really, and what else have they been hiding among the stars?